Silvopasture is the integration of trees and forages and livestock, and taking all of those three and combining them to make one unit that's better than each one of those three separately. My name is Austin Unruh, and I run Trees For Graziers. Trees For Graziers is a company that is completely focused on adding trees into pastures, helping farmers figure out how to integrate trees in their grazing operations in a way that helps them reduce the heat stress on their livestock, reduce the cold stress during the winter, and add additional feed for their livestock. We're at Fiddle Creek Dairy, and Fiddle Creek Dairy, this is ground zero for our work in Silvopasture. It's our oldest site that we established Silvopasture on, and it's one of the largest, most extensive Silvopasture plantings in this region. We're getting there. One more year and you'll have, like, on this side.
So I won't have to worry about using the barn at all for shade.
Yeah.
Maybe for feed, but not for shade.
The fencing that we used here on this farm was a good fit for right here, because on this farm he's using the fencing around yay high, and that is his paddock division, so that the livestock, they can't go through the tree rows. So the farmer has hardly had to move step-in posts for the last 3 years, which has been great. It's saved him a lot of time. One of the downsides that we see is that the forages grow up really thick underneath the polywire here, because the cattle don't want to eat underneath the electric fencing. So here's where we come. If we want to see what we can learn from Silvopasture, what we can learn about the best establishment techniques, here's where we come to see how our experiments, our very many experiments, are working. And then Drager Farm was one that we planted just this spring, and we've had, by the spring, we had 3 years of experience underneath our belts. So our plantings now, we're able to use larger tree stock. We're able to plant in such a way and protect the trees in such a way that are just easier for the farmer, and they get the trees established quicker. All we're doing is we're using one zip tie. That's how we're getting this up at 6 feet tall. We're putting a little hole in there, we're putting a zip tie in there, running the polywire through, and then we're tying another polywire on there, about 6 feet of polywire, and we're wrapping that around the tube and tying it off down here. And that protects the whole tube, the whole shelter, from rubbing. So the cattle don't want to come up on here and rub on the shelter. So that is how we protect our trees. There's different ways to do the polywire. There's different ways to protect these trees, but polywire and electric fencing is the best way, the most guaranteed way of keeping livestock off of these shelters.
I mean, you can see here, this has been grazed multiple times yet, and there has been next to zero maintenance on my part.
Yeah, that's great.
No work.
That is great.
I'm a lazy farmer. But I like things pristine and not pristine, but I like it nice.
You like it nice, right?
So this is nice. There's no weeds. The cows graze right up to the tube of the, I mean, the electric stops within 2 feet of the ground. Yeah. Cows know that. They eat right around the base. Yep.
And that section right around the base of it is mulched, so they don't need and then all around that, they're able to graze right up to it. You see what we're working with right here is a tall cutting of a hybrid poplar, and there's not many times that we get instant gratification here in the agroforestry and silvopasture space, but this is about as good as it gets right here. That's instant gratification, having a tree this tall that was planted just this spring. So it was planted 5 months ago, and pretty soon it's going to be providing shade for these cows already. And also, just as the farmer, it feels good to know that your livestock are well taken care of, that they are comfortable, and then when you go out in the pasture, that you can stand in the shade, and if you like standing in the shade, your cows will like standing in the shade as well.